Hello. So, if we look at our today's tasks, we can see that we need to unwrap the interior models like table vase, picture frame, and the walls and the ceiling. Now, we did not plan this. When we were planning our project, we did not include unwrapping tasks. So, that can happen. It's okay. We can just add the task in our flowchart. And if I open up the max file, we can see that the modeling process has been done. If we go to the planning phase, unwrapping is not a very complicated job. A lot of people think that it's very time consuming, it's very hassle, and it's very problematic thing. Well, it's not. It's a very simple process. If you can understand the process, you can do it very easily. Like, first things, we have to plan the unwrapping. Usually the model seems fine. If I hover over to max, you can see that this model is looking fine. Well, in reality it's not, because I have, when we model this, we were using some chamfer modifiers and doing cuts over here and there. If we did not plan the geometry correctly, it's not going to unwrap properly, or it's going to give us some errors when we do unwrap. So the next thing would be to fixing the first thing would be to fixing the edge flow, and the next thing would be to fixing the modeling problem, understanding textile density, and then comes the unwrapping, which I prefer to use Rhizome UV. That's a great tool, great software, and it's very easy to use, and it's very, very fast. It has symmetry as well. Like, yeah, symmetry. That's a quite a feature when doing unwrap. Now, the first thing would be to inspect our scene. These walls, they came up from Revit, and I know the geometry that came from Revit, it's not good because it does not have the proper topology. By topology, I mean, if I isolate this picture window frame, you can see that there is no cut over here. While this is not a problem in Max, it's a problem in, if we plan to export this object to maybe Unity, maybe Unreal Engine, or maybe to like Lumion, it's going to be a problem because this object will not have proper UVs, and either we have to remodel it or fix some edge flows so that it can be properly unwrapped and uh, exported to other engines. While in V-Ray, if we are using V-Ray, it does not matter so much, but I like to work the proper way because in the end, I, maybe the client wants this output in real time. So I like to be prepared, and unwrapping is not such a big time consuming job. It's a fairly simple process once you can understand it. So let me just quickly send some assets to Rhizome UV, then I will explain to you why I am, you know, doing this process and explaining to you this process. I'm just going to click on this bridge, and this has to be edit poly object. So I did save as the file, before unwrapping the model, and I'm going to convert this to editable poly and send it to Rhizome UV. This script is a simple script. It just exports and then imports the geometry into Rhizome UV and opens it up. Now that this hasn't been opened up, I can just press F to focus or frame to the object. We can try the auto seam or auto UV function in the Rhizome UV. I'm going to choose this hard surface model, and click on this to select some, possibly some edges, and possibly algorithm option, turn this on down, click some edges, and I am going to cut this and unwrap this, and possibly pack this and then optimize. Now you can see that Rhizome UV did some automatic cutting, and it is not the best cut, but what I want to be showing you the point. Now you can see that if I'm in edge mode, if I click on this edge and this edge and this edge, and what I want is this edge, this part, to be one piece, so that I can select this edge. If this flow is not going this way, I have to reroute some of these edges, maybe cut this over here, or to if I deselect these edges, click this and then click on this. By the way, you can see my shortcut keys are appearing over here, and then press C or use this tool to cut and unwrap once again and pack up once again. Now you can see that it did something, but cut again. Let me just cut again and zoom out, and possibly something did happen, but the geometry flow is not correct. That's why Rhizome UV automatic seam function is probably not working at its best. Optimize. I'm just going to press O, hold on O, to optimize, and it is doing its job, trying to do its best, but it can't. So we can go to this island mode, and it is saying that it is still connected. Let me just manually click this face and cut it by pressing the C key, and then if I just move it out here and press O to optimize. This is the optimize function, by the way. Now you can see that this has been optimized and separated from the other pieces. But the thing is that if the flow was correct, like this edge should cut from here, and same as if I point out this way, you know going into edge mode, you can see that these edges, they are not continuing over to here, so neither are these. We can do this by simply clicking here, and then if I go to select and then expand my selection once, and maybe expand my selection again, and we can press the cut tool and then press F to focus and move it to this side. Now you can see that I have some faces cut, and what I want to be doing, cutting these up as well, because I want the UV to be nice and clean and straight. So that's why I want my edge flow to be straight and clear. If I go to my edge selection tool and then try to uh, try to double click on this, you can see that this is going haywire, and this is the problem, or probably this is the problem. If let me just go back into Max, I'm not going to save this, and go into Max, and probably by clicking undo a few times, now you can see that I have the chamfer modifier. I'm going to turn this off. Now you can see that if I don't do anything, just turn off the chamfer modifier, and now the edge flow is clean. Let me just demonstrate to you by sending this to the convert readable poly and just press F to focus on this object. And possibly now I am going to use the auto cut function, auto seam function, and try to maybe cut it and press the unwrap and maybe pack. Now you can see that this is a much better unwrap. Now we did not get all of the edges. We can, in this case I just want to select all of the edges and press the cut, and not this one, this one, unwrap, optimize and pack. Possibly do the optimize later. Now this unwrap in my opinion is a lot cleaner and a lot nicer than what we had. Let me just inspect this face by clicking on this, and this is probably this. We can possibly move it to this location where all of the others are have been placed. Now this is what I meant by fixing the geometrical edge flow. And the next thing would be modeling problem. Now this in my case, in my opinion, is a lot better unwrap, because if I turn on the the texture display, you can see that we have some nice even chords. So I'm going to click on save, so that Prism UV closes and import back the geometry. And if I go to material override with UV texture, you can see that now this has been properly unwrapped. Now the thing is that it wasn't so hard, because when we do it like this way, plan ahead, plan what's wrong with our objects, how we model them, and how we can approach the modeling. It's not very hard job to do. The next thing would be to fix the modeling problem. And why I click on this task, because I know that if I turn off the override, this geometry, these walls geometry, it came from Revit, and I know Revit is not a great tool for like exporting game models, because its algorithm, it's different. It's a procedural modeling tool. So let me just send this to the Prism UV, and we have to convert this to editable poly, of course. And you can see some things have happened as well. If I click on the Prism UV bridge and press F and I navigate, first thing you've been noticing that now this shape was open. If I switch to max, this is open, and in Rhizome UV this is closed, and we have some weird polygon shapes overlapping. The thing is that Max can understand the models imported, but other softwares cannot. So we have to clean this model, we have to clean the topology. And what's wrong with this model is that it's not modeled in Max, so that's why it's giving these kind of problems. And I'm not going to save this. And the problems are because from experience I know that if I do undo, and I could possibly convert this to a double poly and select all of these faces and hide selection. Now you can see that we have some overlapping polygons. Aha. So that was the problem, what was causing the error. If I delete these, now you can see that we have an open edge, open face. If I unhide all, and possibly hide this geometry and move to this side. Now you can see that this is now behaving like we are expecting. Now this problem is all over this wall geometry. In fact, it's all over the model that I have imported from Revit. Now, how did I identify this problem? If I go to Cyanide Tools and click on this Scribe or Sculpt, and just for this demonstration sake, if I click on this display duplicated vertices, you can see that it is pointing some sort of helper objects to the locations. So these are the locations which have duplicated vertices or the duplicated faces. So that is how I was able to identify the problems. By the way, Cyanide softwares, they have some great tools, and one of them is you can, if you go to Sculpt and possibly try to rebuild this mesh, and I did tried it, but it's not working for me right now. I do not know what is the problem, but I will do quick R&D on this, and if something came up, I will update or possibly put a link in the video description as well. So for now, I am just going to do this manually by hand by going to click all of these and clicking on hide selection and moving to this wall and deleting these duplicated faces, and then click on this hide selection and then removing these duplicated faces or these duplicated geometrical faces which came from Revit, and now they have been deleted, and unhide all. And I think these selection brackets are very annoying. I'm going to turn these off, and now I am going to vertex mode, and I'm going to turn on the statistics and total plus selection and show in view, and I'm going to click on all vertices. You can see that there are 87, and I will vent them. And now you can see before there was 87 and after there are 32. Now I think that this model has been cleaned. We can send it to Rhizome UV again, and it is still showing up some errors, and we have to, I think, possibly forgot to fix this piece. Let me just quickly get back and inspect this as well. Okay, I got the problem. The problem is that this this hole, it's not connecting to anywhere. Like this vertex point is floating in the air. While this is fine for Max, it's not fine if I export this to Unreal or some other gaming engine, or maybe to Maya or something. Maya could probably understand it, but not the gaming engine. I'm going to click on this Paint Connect tool and just click from here to here. I should hold Control, possibly. Yes, now it's working. Press the Control key and click on here to here, here to here, while holding down the the control key, I can, or you can use the traditional cut tool as well. Now let me just send this geometry back to Rhizome UV and press F to focus. Now you can see, aha, voila, it worked because the edge loops or the geometry problems have been fixed. Unwrapping this is fairly simple and easy process in Rhizome UV. I might try to this by clicking on this arrow, not this one, the hard edges, and just default algorithms. Click on this and click on cut and unwrap and possibly pack. Now you can see that the auto scenes function, it worked and it did a really nice job. Now there are some things that I like to do, like by hand, like clean up this geometry. First of all, I do not like this square shape. It will not be a good unwrap if I try to pack my geometry like this way. If I select these edges and cut them, these these ones as well, press C or click on this cut tool, and if I pack again, now you can see it's a lot cleaner unwrap, and in my opinion, this is a lot better and something. Well, this is probably inside as well. I might have to clean it up as well, but for now. So by the way, this is behind the camera as well, so I'm not going to worry about this for the time being now. So this in my case is a lot better unwrap. Let me just save it so that uh, geometry can be imported back into Max automatically. Now you can see that this has a modifier as well. If I click on the unwrap UVW modifier and open up the UV editor, you can see that we have proper UVs. Let me just delete the unwrap modifier. This is the way if I open up the document, fixing the modeling problem. So now this is the way we are going to approach the unwrapping. It's not a very hard job, it's just a little bit technical, but once you understand the process, you can quickly and easily do the unwrapping and process.